What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Dlphins Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. We are live right now. I'm starting the after midnight spaces. Who knows? I might make this a thing, man. Shout out to the listeners, everybody coming in. I'm live on YouTube and I'm live on the spaces right now on Twitter. This is the first time I'm doing this. Let me turn them. Why is there music on? Autoplay when spaces starts. I don't need no music, man. Get out of here. All right. So hey, it's still going, huh? All right, let me see about this music. Y'all give me a second. Autoplay when my spaces start. Background music. Feel awkward silence with the sound of the space background music. Hosts are in charge of the music. Autoplay. That's weird. All right, everybody. Listen, this is my first spaces that I'm starting on Twitter. I've never done that before, but we in here. Shout out to those who are watching right now. Shout out to those on YouTube right now watching. This is an after midnight stream. Y'all hit that like button on your way in. But yeah, man, I just wanted to kick back, chill after midnight, at least over on the East Coast, which I'm Eastern Standard Time. Wanted to sit back and chill tonight. It's 12:13 p.m. where I am. And want to just chat it up, man. But the title is Miami Dolphin fans. Can we be honest? Like, can we have a night of honesty? I'm like, this is something that's rare. But can we have a night of honesty? Like we actually have a conversation where we're honest about a few things. And I gotta ask some people. And by the way, you can use the chat below if you want. All right. You can use the chat that's below. But anyway, within me saying, can we be honest? The way that I kind of feel about it is there's some questions that need to be answered with Dolphin fans to help people get to the point of what I'm trying, what I do as a content creator and try to help them understand. Okay. So first and foremost, I mean, most people know me as the guy who's always quote unquote critical of Tua Tagovailoa or whatever it may be. Shout out to the people watching. I see some people requesting to come in and talk. Yeah, I'm gonna let some people talk in just a moment. I'm gonna add y'all as speakers on spaces if you want to come in and have a conversation. But let's make sure we keep it respectful and we do this the right way. All right. But a few questions I got for the audience tonight, and I want to see if people can actually answer and have a productive conversation, man. And yeah, I'm about to talk about Tua. I ain't gonna sugarcoat things. I'm about to talk about Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. I'm gonna talk about Mike McDaniel. I'm gonna talk about Chris Greer. I'm gonna talk about all that stuff. All right. So first and foremost, and I can see people on spaces. You can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, all that good stuff with your responses if you like. But is Tua a top 10 quarterback in your eyes? Is Tua Tagovailoa a top 10 quarterback in your eyes? Y'all let me know in the chat. Y'all let me know in spaces. What's up, Sleepy Hollow? I see you in here.
What's up, man? To answer your question, hell no, he's not.
Man, why I gotta be so graphic with the no? It's so emphatic.
Bro, because listen, man, this man is going on to he got drafted 2020. He's going on to his sixth year. He's only had one healthy season. Come on. That's no.
Yeah, but okay, let's put health aside. Let's put health aside for a second, all right? Let's just talk play on the field. Listen, I don't think anybody is debating health these days. Like that's a give-in. We already don't like the health situation. But play on the field when he is healthy, is he a top 10 quarterback?
When he's healthy on the field, yeah, yes. When he has When he has protection, absolutely.
So you think he's a top 10 quarterback when healthy with protection?
Yeah, he can go toe to toe with I feel like anybody.
I'm not asking if he can go toe to toe. You said top 10. So you say if he's healthy, he better than Mahomes? All right, man. I don't even know if I could talk to you because I just asked you. You had to think about that, bro.
Mahomes is number one, though. I'm not saying he's better than Mahomes.
Yeah, but I don't know why you hesitated. Like you had to think about that.
Nah, he's not. He ain't better than Mahomes. Nah,
okay, so if he healthy, he better than Lamar Jackson.
No, he's not. But those are like top five.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So we gonna play that game though. So if he's healthy, he better than Joe Burrow?
No.
Oh, so if he healthy, he better than Josh Allen?
Nah.
So if he's healthy, he better than Jalen Hurts?
No.
Oh, so if he healthy, then he's better than Jaden Daniels? You got to think about that.
Yeah, I don't want to say he's better than Jaden Daniels, but he's like when he's healthy, he's up there. Like now, he's not better than JD because JD brought his team to the playoff. I'm saying NFC Championship game. So, but hold on. So, are you saying right now Jaden Daniels is top 10?
Yeah, absolutely,
100%.
Absolutely. I put Jaden Daniels top 10 right now. I don't knock him just because it's 1 year. His 1 year stacked up with the rest of the quarterbacks in the league put him top 10. Now he can fall out of it easily this year, or he can elevate in it easily this year. But right now he's playing like a top 10 quarterback. If you're taking his career.
Right, yeah, because this is only going to be his second season.
Yeah, but right now he's top 10 though.
Okay, you know what? Maybe Tua's not. He's top. He might be top 15, top 20.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm glad you said that because this is the point that I'm trying to get across to people. See, Omar Kelly made a great point today, and I 1,000% agree with him. Omar Kelly said, first of all, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you need an elite quarterback. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, that type of quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. Then he said, if you could also win a Super Bowl if you have a top quarterback like a top what did he say? He said a top 12 quarterback, right? And he said, but you also need a great defense and a great run game, and you still got a chance to win a Super Bowl. And I agree with that. But and I think a lot of people would agree with that. But what nobody wants to talk about is the fact that our guy is not top 12. He's between 13 and 18.
Right. But TD, my thing is, there's no denying Lamar, Josh Allen and them, they're good. But why haven't they gotten over that hump yet? Why haven't they gotten to the Super Bowl yet?
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Mm-hmm. Here's the deal. So my philosophy on football, right? We know the ultimate goal is Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But
real quick, hey TD, can you add Deuce Andrade?
I thought, let me see. I already did. He in here.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I think Tua is a top 20 quarterback. I
agree.
Know if he has the talent level to do what the top 10 do.
Well,
and I don't think he ever will have that.
Well, we're gonna get back to that, but let me because I want to make sure we keep this organized a little bit and stick with the path that we're on right now. But we're definitely gonna get to that one, right? But here's the deal, right? Tua not being a top 12 quarterback is it's like whenever Omar Kelly made that statement, it hit something because here's the fundamental difference. Omar Kelly was so right when he said that. He said if you are a top 12 and you got a defense and a run game, you could win a Super Bowl, right? But to answer your question, Sleepy Hollow, yeah, but Lamar and them, they haven't gotten over the hump. Let me tell you my philosophy on football here. You don't actually have to win the Super Bowl, but you have to at least be in contention for it. And what does contention mean? You at least make it to a championship round. And what I mean, and I'm not trying to, move the goalposts closer for Lamar and those guys, but the biggest difference is at least they're on that level competing to get there because it's 32 teams and only one goes. In 10 years, if every quarterback in the league was elite, there's still going to be several that miss out. So that's not the debate on, they haven't won a Super Bowl, but they're always in the picture competing for it.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. But you can't do that when you're not a top 12 quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest, man. After what Tua did, the Bills game week 2, I was done with him. Okay, because you had the first down, and it was, if he would have slid, it would have been first and goal. He willingly chose to, for whatever reason, dive head first to DeMar Hamlin. I was done with him after that. But then he goes on presses and, I let my team down. Well, you don't think you did, huh?
Well,
to be honest with you though, like that's my big problem.
That's a football play. He's a football player making a football play. I can't blame him for that.
No, I can't though, because you have bad injury history, so you don't need to be diving.
Well. Let me say this. Let me say this about that.
Situational awareness too, where you're at on the field, where the first down is. Like, there's just a lot that with Tua you look at, and you're like, how did you come from a program like Alabama, and it's like you're still making these like mistakes and it just doesn't,
Right. Yo, whoever this guy is, bro, I like him. He's speaking facts because it's not like he went to Bowling Green. It's not.
Oh, my bad. Hello?
Yeah, it ain't like Tua went to some, Z-League college. He went to Alabama.
Yeah.
He was coached by Saban.
But here's where I'm going to push back on what y'all are saying here, right? I'm going to push back on it because here's the deal. I want y'all, and allow me to finish here, and just like kind of hear me out in my thought process on what Tua did. I'm actually one of those few individuals that appreciated what he did. It just he ended up getting hurt. And here's why. When you have limitations in your game, in which I believe, y'all may disagree, but I believe he does, right? When you have those limitations, you have to do something outside of the norm to make a play for your team. And Tua is the type of guy, like, what y'all got to realize is if he stays healthy, it still ain't going to do us no good if he's just sitting in the pocket and trying to avoid pressure. In today's NFL, every quarterback that wants to win have to go outside of the script and make plays. It's just, see, we keep arguing about whether we rather him stay healthy than to make plays. Well, guess what? Him staying healthy still ain't going to get us over the hump. And that's another fundamental difference that a lot of people don't realize. Yeah, a lot of people arguing, well, if he was healthy, we would have won enough games to get to the playoffs and get bounced in the first round? Like when he was healthy 2 years ago for the full season? Like, you have to make those big plays to actually win in the big games. So him putting it on the line, I thought he did the right thing for his team. Unfortunately, he couldn't hold up. His body couldn't hold up. But we keep talking about this philosophy of, well, now on he needs to protect himself. Well, guess what? Go ahead and protect yourself and allow us to keep on losing in big games, nitpicking opportunities he has. We're going to be sitting here saying, man, Tua, look at that lane. He could have ran for the first right there. But he don't do it. And everybody gonna be like, well, the O-line should have. Man, I don't know. There's too many plays to be had on the field for Tua, and even extending plays. So yeah.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, you're good. You cook.
Okay, so everything you said was true, but I can give you an example of him having situational awareness. I think it was his first game back at Arizona, right?
Uh-huh.
Pocket breaks down. He rolls out. What does he do? He slides.
Okay.
He got the first down. He slid right after he got it. So it's not like it's limitations. It's him trying to be Mahomes, trying to be these guys. He's not. That's not who you are.
I disagree. I disagree with that because, see, everybody. This is one thing we do in our community when we have these conversations, right? And we had these debates. We make a lot of assumptions. The man was 3 yards past the first down, and we just automatically act like he stared to the sideline to make sure he got it. He didn't know if he got the first or not. When you hike that ball and you back in the pocket, you already 10 feet behind the line of scrimmage. When you run, you're not looking down the line and say, "Oh, I got the first. Let me slide." He wanted to make sure he had it.
I see what you're saying, but I've watched many quarterbacks in the NFL do that same exact thing and know exactly where they're at on the field. I'm not trying to say that it's not a possibility, but as Tua, he's getting paid $250 million. Like, you got to know where you're at on the field, especially with your injury history. But that's not my biggest problem with him. My problem with him is just not being able to make throws down the field. But that's
no. I think no. That whole noodle arm thing, I think he beat those allegations, honestly.
Man, how he beat him?
I mean, the multiple deep bombs he's had to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle.
Okay. Let me.
Those are all.
No. Let me address it. Let me address that. Okay.
He had some last year.
Let me address that. So every quarterback, if their mechanics are right and they can plant their feet, they can all chuck it 50+ yards. We all know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every quarterback, I don't care how weak your arm is, all of them can get over 50 yards if they got their legs planted and mechanics are right.
Right.
But the strong arm quarterbacks can throw off one leg on the run 50, 60 yards. They can do all of that. Tua, if he ain't got his mechanic, and that's what we're talking about with the deep ball. Yeah, the man can occasionally hike the ball, fake the handoff, turn around, plant the feet, launch it deep. Tyreek's open, touchdown, in stride. We've seen him do that to Tyreek, Waddle, but there's levels to this. Let's stop using 5 occurrences out of 50 and saying he can do it. Yeah, technically he can, but can he do it on a consistent basis to where we can say he does that? This is what he does. No.
He's never been known to be a big arm guy. His deal was accuracy, and now he's got happy feet in the pocket because he doesn't like getting hit, and that's going away too. And he's throwing the ball high, and Reese getting hurt, and the first time jumping in here. Appreciate you letting me talk. The problem with Tua, I think you could argue he's a top 12 quarterback. You could get to that argument if you wanted to.
Argue.
Our problem is we paid him like he's a top 5 guy. And you can't pay a good quarterback great quarterback money because the rest of the roster suffers. So now we're struggling, and Greer's struggling. Everybody's trying to struggle paying these dudes or letting folks go. Like, can't pay Jonnu or don't want to pay Jonnu when he was the most productive guy on the field yesterday or last season on the offensive side of the ball. So we overpaid to it, and now we're stuck with it. And the other piece of it is Mike McDaniel's not the guy to elevate his game like we thought he was. So while those two are the combo, we will not get far, especially in postseason play. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Man, and again, with the spaces, these conversations is meant to challenge everything I say, everything you say. But do it the right way in a healthy conversation without getting in our feelings. So I'm gonna even push back on this notion that you can argue he's a top 12 quarterback. Where's the argument?
They're gonna say all the stats, all the EPA. And
No. See, that's another thing that. Let me tell you.
I don't like the stat push argument because you can throw for a bunch of yards like he did when I want you to win games. And when we were up 4 or 5 games on Buffalo, and then pissed it all away after there was some injury things and whatnot, just bad play. We had to go to Kansas City in that playoff game. Like, we shot ourselves in the foot. I think when the components are right, and you have a healthy Tyreek, you have a healthy Jaden Waddle, the run really top 12 quarterback, he's throwing the ball 25, maybe 30 times a game because you had Mostert running the ball well. HN kind of come out, and really it's It's not so much of trying to press the ball downfield. It's more about playing within 5-10 yards of line of scrimmage and then taking shots down and letting him pick apart defenses that way. He can be a top 12 quarterback. Can be. He
can't be a top 12 quarterback because that's discounting what everybody else can be. There's no such thing of can. There is you are or you're not.
Or you are.
You are or you're not.
He's just not top 10. He's not top 12 quarterback talent. That's the problem.
Okay, where would you put Brock Purdy?
I mean, I put
For me, on my list.
Yeah.
I actually have a list, by the way. So give me a second. Let me see.
And I want to know Sam Darnold too for a point I got.
Was the like
15 to 17, all three of those guys. Average.
My point is, if you can get to a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, you should be able to get a Super Bowl with Tua.
Okay,
They didn't win. Remember,
we literally just talked about how it's getting there, right? It's a championship game. Like, you're not going to be able to win one. He can't win a playoff game. So that I have frustrated with Tua. This is not an argument for Tua.
But look at that 49er team. It's a totally different type of.
Which goes back to my point about paying the quarterback the
right way. So I have Brock Purdy 11th on my list.
11th?
Yes. Why is that too? Is that too high or too low for whoever asked that?
Where's Sam Darnold, TD?
I don't think it's too high.
Let me say that. Let me say this about Brock Purdy that everybody overlooks. We always talk about the talent he has, right? And I'm not gonna deny, like when his talent is hurt, Brock Purdy hasn't played very well. It was a small sample size of about 4 to 5 games in the last 2 years. But the one thing Brock Purdy has is the mobility, the durability, and ability to make consistent plays outside of the structure. So I'm not high on Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is another Tua to me, but at least he has that one element to his game that allows him to do a little more.
You missed one thing too. Him and Jimmy G had contracts that weren't Tua's contract. So now it's a whole different ballpark since they actually paid him. Everyone says, "Oh, they got to the Super Bowl with these guys." They weren't paying these guys either.
Right,
but they still have a very good roster, though. Their roster is still very good.
That's what I'm saying.
So can I give y'all my top 15 and you tell me how many of them Tua's better than?
All right.
Yeah, guys.
All right. Wait till I'm done. Just count in your mind, and then I'm gonna ask y'all. All right. So number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, I debate between Lamar and Joe Burrow. I'm gonna go Burrow right now. He about to go off this year. Number 3, Lamar Jackson. Number 4, Josh Allen. Number 5, I debate this too. Like I got Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, but I'm gonna go ahead and give Jalen Hurts the nod because in big games he shows up. He plays well. He's big time. He's a winner, obviously, right? And number 6, Jaden Daniels. Number 7, a lot of people are gonna disrespect him, but we got to get this man his respect. Super Bowl winner Matthew Stafford. Number 8, I'm not gonna mention until the end because some of y'all gonna lose y'all head on my list. Number 9, I got Jared Goff. Number 10, right now, I got, I go back and forth between Geno and Purdy, but I'm gonna go Geno Smith. Number 11, I got Brock Purdy. Number 12, I got Jordan Love. Number 13, I got Baker Mayfield. 14, he took a fall. He was in my top 10, but now he took a little bit of a fall, but he's still up there. But CJ Stroud is 14.
Oh, you're tripping. You're tripping.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think Love's got to be lower.
He made the playoffs 2 times or 2 years.
No. I could qualify it, but and it ain't a perfect list. Once I get past 12, I really don't care about the order, to be quite honest with you. But
the order doesn't really matter.
But 15, I gotta go with Dak Prescott. Is what I got at 15.
Nobody cares about Dak anymore.
Let me throw another one. 16, I got Kyler.
Okay, that's fair.
17, Bo Nix. 18, I put Tide on here. That's where I got Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa. Tide. But let me go back to 8 since I just didn't want people to blow a gasket. I got Herbert.
It better be Justin Herbert.
Of course it is. I got Herbert at 8.
How is Justin Herbert better than C.J. Stroud? But C.J. Stroud has made the playoffs 2 years in a row and has 2 playoff wins. Burrow, Herbert has none.
I'm glad you asked that. So you know how everybody always talk about wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. I'm a firm believer in that. It's not a quarterback stat. So for me, how do you play when you lose games? Are you a part of the reason your team loses or not? Right now, Herbert. Here's the funny
part. Is always the reason why his team loses in the
playoffs. Well. That's the interesting part. That's the interesting part of what you're saying. No. Let's go ahead and
time out. Hold on, real quick, TD. What happened when C.J. Stroud went versus Justin Herbert head-to-head last playoff?
You're right. But let me break down what I'm saying here. This isn't just playoff play. It's not just, it's everything encompassed. Here's what I mean by that, right? Here's the thing that, and I don't want to make this a Herbert conversation because I don't even like talk about Herbert.
You got to give up on Herbert, bro.
No, I don't care. I don't care to make it about Herbert. I have no loyalty to Herbert. But here's what,
I know, but you like him a lot.
Yeah, because he's a great talent. And here, listen. Let me qualify it. Let me give my reasoning, right? So here's what's crazy, man. This is what I think. First of all, I think is a particular bias on Herbert because of the Tua comparison and debates, right? But the difference with Herbert is we amplified the 4 losses, the big losses in his career that was on national television that we saw. But we don't talk about the typical week 7 versus the Chiefs or the typical big game versus this team or that team that's a big team where he out there balling. We don't care about the one that's not on TV at 4:05 because it ain't on prime time that I watch that he against another great team and he balling.
Right, he scored more than 70.
Like we only talk about the one that's nationally televised on TV in the playoffs. We talk about like when we encompass all Herbert's flaws, we don't reach further than 4 games in 5 years.
But you're giving him the same. If you're gonna keep it one way,
he's not top 10. He's not.
Hold on, y'all. Let him cook, because I got him. So that's false, and let me tell you why. This is why I always tell y'all there's levels to this. I just told you can't probably go further than 4 games with Herbert. It's just that those may have been big games and the whole world was watching. Tua, you can go by 15 of them.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is if Herbert is top 10
every single day. We messed up when we didn't take him in a draft.
I don't want Tua. I don't want Herbert either.
Like people don't realize that there's levels to this stuff. Just because one guy has failed in 4 times on a big stage, we try to make him on the same realm as a guy who's failed 15 times on the big stage.
Yeah, but you said there's levels, though. What's his level?
No, that is the level. Mahomes has failed now on the big stage. Are we going to say he's failed just as much?
Nah, come on, TD. Don't do that.
All I'm trying to say to you is this. There's a difference between being a part of the reason your team loses 4 times versus 15 times. Y'all try to make it closer than what it is.
I agree until last playoffs. I was with you, but then I got to see Herbert recently, and I said, you know what? The Jags maybe was a fluke. Let's watch him cook. Versus a young C.J. Stroud. And Herbert was doing his thing, and then all of a sudden, we all saw it. We saw exactly what came up in that Jags game. I was like, hold the hell up.
And Herbert failed, and he failed, and
outplayed by a young
and he got outplayed. Now, okay.
Wait. With a
Texans team that was decimated. C.J. Stroud only had one receiver that was left.
You're correct, sir. That's a bad nod on Herbert. But we're talking about 5 years. We're talking about a guy who at one point averaged 30 per game and still had a losing record.
These two, all right, look.
Do you realize that Herbert
looking like Dak Prescott 2.0? He's 2 seasons away, maybe 1 season.
But he has no receivers. That's what I'm trying to say. He has no receivers over there.
Hold on.
Lamar Jackson didn't have receivers in the beginning. Of his
Well, let me
career.
ask you this, Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow, let me ask you this, okay?
Lamar Jackson's second best receiver was Snead. Are we kidding me?
Well, let me ask you this, Sleepy Hollow. Let me ask you this. Did Justin Herbert have any blame on the season that the Bengals had? Not Herbert. Did Joe Burrow have any blame on the season they had?
No. What season? They didn't. Wait, what are you talking about? The last 2 seasons they didn't make playoffs?
No, this year. Yeah, he didn't make the playoffs. Did he have any blame?
In the year before.
Okay, did he have any blame?
No.
Yeah, there was 3 games that 2 games. In those 2 games, he threw 2 interceptions. Well, no, 1 game he threw an interception that they could have beat the Ravens. And then the other game at the goal line, when he was to come up clutch, he messed up. Those 2 games, he would have been in the playoffs.
Guess what? Tell me what quarterback in the NFL don't have 2 bad games in the season. Tell me what quarterback in the NFL. Hold on. Tell me what quarterback in the NFL. Let me and Sleepy Hollow go for a second. Tell me what quarterback in the NFL don't have 2 bad games.
They do.
So we want to point out his 2 bad games and say he was the reason.
Bro, he was not the reason his team didn't make the playoffs.
No, I didn't say he's not. I didn't know. Everyone knows it was that defense, but if you get paid the big bucks, when you have these big games, no one cares about the details of the games. They care about the W.
I agree.
L.
I agree with that.
Joe Burrow contributed to the L in those 2 games.
In those 2 games, tell me the quarterback in the NFL who hasn't contributed to an L in 2 games.
I'm not saying that. But if Lamar Jackson would have threw a pick, Lamar Jackson would have never got it done. He would have been blamed for it. So
No. Here's the difference. There's the difference of what we're talking about, right? Because Lamar Jackson had a stinker last year too in the game, right? But here's the difference that we're talking about. What I think the emphasis you may put on it is if Joe Burrow had 2 stinkers early in the year, week 2 and 3, and then ball out the rest of the way, will we have that same attitude towards it?
More than 2 stinkers. He had a Patriot stinker in the beginning of the season.
No. He didn't have many stinkers at all. When you go watch the film, even early in the season when he was throwing those picks, we're talking about passes going right in the receiver's hands, plopping in the air, intercepted.
The loss to the Patriots wasn't a stinker?
No. What I'm saying to you is, are you going to sit here and say this man had more than 2 stinkers last year? He led the league in passing. He had a almost 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Like, do you understand? He led the league.
We gotta stop. We gotta put
Burrow?
Yeah.
We gotta put more of an emphasis on winning. Like, I get it. Joe Burrow is one of those guys, but you can't just keep not making playoffs. Like, I don't want to keep talking about Joe Burrow is top 5 if he's not getting into the playoffs. If he goes on number 3, he's about to hit year 3, starting out slow, not making playoffs with the 2 best receivers in the league. I don't want to hear the defense is bad. I don't want to hear that. But you gotta make playoffs.
No. See, because you have a fundamental.
Lamar Jackson does it every year.
This is not true. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has a good defense every single season.
Listen to what I said. Lamar Jackson makes playoffs every year. The only 2 years he didn't was when he was injured out for the rest of the season.
That's the problem that you're not considering. Lamar Jackson doesn't make the playoffs every year. The Ravens do.
Okay, so what about in the beginning of the season when their defense was worse than the Bengals' defense? It didn't come together until the second half.
What are you talking about?
Lamar Jackson doing? What was he doing?
What are you talking about?
In the beginning of last season,
They had one of the worst defenses in the league.
So you're going to sit here and tell me that if the Baltimore Ravens gave up 33 a game, they making the playoffs?
No.
Why are we getting amnesia?
I'm not getting amnesia.
The Baltimore Ravens went 0-2 because that defense was trash.
Okay, and that's the proof.
And who did they have to? And who got them out of that hole?
The defense and Lamar Jackson and the whole team.
Defense. Lamar Jackson had to put up numbers.
So are you saying that defense?
Wait. Whoa. And he went versus Joe Burrow twice.
Oh,
bad defenses. And he won both games.
Lamar not had to put up points though because the defense has been dominant. It goes both ways.
They weren't dominant to the end of the season.
Hold on.
They were literally the worst defense in the league.
wow.
No, they're not. It's
Guys, go look it up. Just go look it up.
Okay. Ladies and
Go
gentlemen.
look it up. Beginning of the season, they were literally.
Ladies and gentlemen, we never want to discount anyone's point of view. So at the end of the day, let's go look it up because I remember that defense did start out rough, but at the same token, they did get better. So the first game of the season, they played the Chiefs. They gave up 27 points to 20, and they lost. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The second game, they played the Raiders. They gave up 26 points, and they lost. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's a lot more with the offense, in my opinion, on that game. But anyway, Ravens then played the Cowboys. They won,
barely won,
and they held the
Cowboys. Came back because of the defense.
They held the Cowboys to 25 points in that game, right? All right, let's keep going down the road. Then they played the Bills, and the defense destroyed Buffalo, holding them to 10 points. Then they played the Bengals, in which the Bengals, guess how many points the Bengals scored?
Like, didn't they score like 38 or something?
And lost. Okay.
Yeah.
41 to the Ravens, right? Then they held the Commanders to 23 and they won 30-23. Then the Bucks scored 31 and the Ravens beat them 41-31. Then the Browns, the Ravens lost divisional matchup 29-24. Then they held the Broncos, who were just getting in stride at that time, to 10 points, shut that down, that defense. Then they played the Bengals again, and the Bengals scored another 34 points and still lose.
And when the Ravens went versus the Browns, it was more than just a divisional loss. They went versus, what's the black quarterback name? I forget.
Winston.
They went, Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
He was diamond. He looked like old Jameis Winston on the Bucs.
Hold up. So you're gonna say that
he's still talented.
You gonna say that the Bengals had the Ravens had a worse defense than the Bengals?
In the beginning of the season, the Ravens had a worse
passing It's okay.
Defense. Yes. Their passing defense was horrible. Their running defense wasn't bad. It was like middle of the pack, but the passing defense was dead last.
You see, though, they were playing the best teams in the NFL at that.
Yeah. That was the point I was going to make at the end. That was the point I was going to make at the end, but let's keep going. Ravens played the Steelers. They lost. Even holding the Steelers to 18 points, they lost. Offense not doing their job. Ravens 30-23 versus the Chargers, holding the Chargers to 23. Then they held the Eagles to 24, but the offense couldn't do enough, only scored 19 and lost again. Then they played the Giants, and that defense held them to 14. All right. And then they played the Steelers again, blew them out. The defense held them to 17. Then they played the Texans, blew them all the way out. Defense held them to 2 points.
Yeah, but what's your trend?
Defense held them to 2 points.
Yes, because it was the end of the season. I just told you they picked it up.
No, yeah, but we're talking about this is my hold on. Here's the point that we're making, Sleepy Hollow. If their defense was trash all year, if their defense was trash all year like Burrow's, they wouldn't have made the playoffs.
Right, exactly.
So they play the Browns and the defense hold them to 10.
You just can't keep saying that every year. Listen, 2 years in a row.
I get what you're saying, but if you never fix it, what do you expect to get better?
Okay, so this year, if Burrow doesn't make playoffs, he's still top 5.
It depends on
years in a row.
it depends on how he play. Like, why do you keep thinking? Why do you keep thinking it's reliant on that one?
I value winning.
Why do you?
I value getting the job. The very thing that you preach, TD, about Tua, you're basically making excuses for guys like Herbert, for guys like Burrow. Like,
no, they're in a different.
You can't compare.
Nah,
you can't. There's
I'm
no
sorry,
way they carry
bro.
their
Joe
teams.
Burrow.
You know what you got me realizing now, Sleepy Hollow. This is what you got me realizing. If Tua made the playoffs all 5 years playing the exact way that he's played, and we lost in the first round, and Burrow played exactly the way that he's played and never made the playoffs, you would put Tua ahead of Burrow.
Oh no, I'm not the one that was pushing back.
No, but I'm saying that's your logic, though. You value winning. Burrow's not winning in this scenario.
If you don't make the playoffs, you're not part of any conversation. What are we, Matt Stafford on the Lions?
Oh my gosh.
That's what you want. It's not an all-time great conversation. This is not stacking up their careers like over at the end. This is like saying who's present right now.
Yes, but what I'm saying, if we can't have a conversation with you not even getting to the dance after a while, what are we talking about?
So what you're telling me is, this is what you're saying, though. This is the point that I don't understand. If Joe Burrow had Baltimore's defense, he still wouldn't have made the playoffs.
Nah, he would have made the playoffs.
Then there's your impact. That's what I don't understand what you're saying.
That defense, look, that defense
was
terrible.
Defense was terrible. I'm not gonna lie, but your offense is also one of the top offenses in the league.
Exactly.
Hold on, let me tell you something. Hold on, let me tell you something. It's hard to beat a team that goes and scores 41 points, and then they score 38 points. If I told you, you know what, brother, the Bengals put up you ain't know nothing about football. I was like, bro, this Joe Burrow dude, he hung 41 points. Him and Jamar hung 41. He won. And I told you he lost, you would think I'm crazy. That defense was terrible. So bad. Zach Taylor at times didn't look like he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, but the Bengals, it's not just 1 year. The Bengals always start out slow, which is why they get into holes. Literally almost every year.
Well, Burrow's carrying the team, though. That's my whole point. There's certain quarterbacks that have to do more. With the defense in Super Bowl, we already seen it.
For sure.
All right, man. So we don't want to get too caught.
I'm just saying, we're giving all this credit to Burrow, saying Burrow's carrying the team, which is true. But then we don't want to criticize him for not making the playoffs.
Listen,
He's holding them back.
Bro, what I'm hearing from you, Joe Burrow need to be Jesus to make you happy.
I mean,
like,
it's not about being Jesus, but you got to get there. Like, I get it. He got there 4 years ago. We're
see,
talking about something that happened 4 years
I think
they're on two different talent levels, though. Can we agree on that?
So,
you want to talk about 4 years ago? Hold on. You want to talk about 4 years ago? When was the last time Josh Allen made the Super Bowl? When was the last time Lamar made the Super Bowl?
The Bills are complaining about not having a.
Well, I got one last question on that note, Sleepy Hollow. So, if CJ Stroud was the Bengals quarterback with that defense, would they have made the playoffs last year?
No, I don't think so.
But he makes the playoffs with Houston.
And Houston was considered trash until he got there.
Yeah. It was the same debate.
And don't not one person come in here and say, nah, but they had this.
We gotta act like they didn't.
Yeah, I rest my case on that one. Let's move on. I rest my case on that one. I think we should move on.
What quarterback is making?
Okay, all right, let's do this. Is Justin Herbert reigniting the Houston Texans when they were in that state like CJ Stroud did?
Yeah, I think they would have did better.
Yeah, no.
100%.
Because he can't even do it. Yeah, no, you know why? No, he can't, because he can't even do it with the Chargers where he had a head start.
No.
The Chargers was way better than being on the Texans.
Well, first of all, the Chargers made the playoffs. The Chargers made the playoffs, sir.
With a tougher division.
Being on the Chargers when Justin Herbert got drafted was a much of a larger head start when CJ Stroud got on the Texans, just like Jaden Daniel on the Commanders, because no one thought the Texans were going to be good and no one thought the Commanders were going to be good.
Yeah. I actually agree with that. So did you forget that Herbert was had one of the best rookie stat lines and second year stat lines in the NFL?
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
Do you forget his first 3 years? The man broke records.
I remember on a middle of a pack team. I remember on an okay team he did well, but I also remember Jay Daniels, C.J. Stroud winning playoff games.
Yeah, but that's good for them. They had good. Yeah, I get that.
They had what?
They had good teams too. I get that. Like, are we gonna sit here and ignore like the competition level and things of that nature?
Well, you know what? Here's what I'll say.
Yeah, it's like we're moving the goalpost for like certain quarterbacks and stuff like that.
Here's what I'll say.
I'm just watching rookies pass these kids that are already in the league already. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so here's what I will say, because we were talking about Tua. Here's what I will say. I know, right? Back to Tua.
Hold on, TD. Before you move on, the thing that y'all forgot about the Ravens, we have their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when they started off, it's because their defensive coordinator is in Miami right now.
No, their defensive coordinator went to the Seahawks.
Well, he went to the Seahawks. Their second best defensive play caller was in Miami.
Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald.
Coach or something like that.
Yeah. Weaver. Well, here's what I know, especially since the homie, especially since Sleepy Hollow values winning. Okay, this is what I do know. Since we want to talk about quarterbacks, especially since we're highlighting all the 2020 quarterbacks, well, guess how many playoff starts Jalen Hurts got? 9. Guess how many playoff starts Joe Burrow got? 7. Jordan Love even got 3. Justin Herbert got 2. You want to know how many Tua got? 1. So
yeah, we all know too. Let's be honest. Hold on. Let's be honest. Daniel should be working like at McDonald's. Him and Chris Greer should not be in the NFL. Let's get one thing clear. The decision should have been OC. The decision to trade Jonnu Smith, but not what's that bald nigga's name? The other tight end. You got to be kidding me. What's his name? Julian Hill.
I ain't talking about Smite.
Julian Hill was dumb too. But like you want to trade Jonnu? Julian Hill? Come on, man. Like that.
They're not spending no more money on this team.
Yeah,
it's 1 year deals. 1 year deals.
Kitty, can we go back to Tua for a minute?
Well, that's where we at.
All right.
I don't know. And then you know what they did? Tua had one good season, and then everybody rushed to go pay Tua. And now look, he can't even. I'm pretty sure if you blow on him, that there goes his ACL.
I would have made him play out that 6th year. He would have played that 6th year out.
Nah, go ahead and cook, bro.
I feel like Tua's not a franchise quarterback.
What you mean?
He's not a franchise quarterback at all. He's not.
I'm just saying. Tua is.
Hold on, Stevie.
He has flashes. Hold on, Stevie. But it seems like every time it seems like every time Tua is trending in the.
I don't know if everybody can hear. I just muted everybody. Some of y'all must be for some reason. Some of y'all must be can't hear each other because y'all just going and not being mindful of each other. So make sure you be mindful when somebody talking to let them get their thoughts through. All right, and try to interact a lot with me because I'm trying to steer the conversation for the space anyway to make sure it's productive and not just a whole bunch of people rambling. All right. But back to the Tua piece of it all, man.
Can I say my thought? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you good, David. Roll.
I feel like he's not a franchise.
Who's going?
I feel like he's not a franchise quarterback at all. We got rid of him last year.
Who's speaking right now?
Me.
He can't hear you.
He can't hear you.
Yeah, I don't know why Sleepy Hollow you can't hear somebody else speaking.
Tell Sleepy Hollow to go down and come back up.
Nobody.
You might need to get back out and come back in.
Yeah, come back out.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of people think Tua is a franchise quarterback. What gets me frustrated. See, this is what gets me frustrated is that this is what people want. Well, you know, it's unfair. People think that the team and the organization isn't doing Tua right. People think, well, they need to get him a great O-line. They need to get him great running backs. They need to keep great receivers. They need a top 10 defense. McDaniel need to call plays better. Greer need to do better drafting. All of this is true. But look at how many things y'all need to go right just for him to finally have real success, in which there's still no guarantee in that.
Instead of fixing one problem, you fix that one problem, we good.
And that's what I believe, and I could be wrong, but we don't work smart. We actually going after trying to fix all those problems, which is not realistic because people gonna always get hurt, because that's another excuse. Well, if we don't have the injuries, people gonna always get hurt. But when you got one of those elite guys, it covers a lot of that. And then people argue, okay, well, even if I agree with you, where you going to get the elite person from? I have no idea, but you better keep looking.
Can I ask one more thing? Who do you think gets fired first? I think Mike gets the X, and he's
Chris Greer all day.
I think it's Mike. I think it's Mike. Hold on. I want to say one more thing. You always say this, CD. Chris Greer finds a way to survive. He's like a little cockroach that won't go away, and he finds a way to survive. He don't care if it's a shoe. He don't care if it's a spray. He don't care. He will find a way.
Well,
Lamar.
I'll say this that whole Lamar thing, I'm so disappointed in the Dolphins. Why didn't you offer the 2 picks? Even if they matched it, show that you want to get better.
I know why. We have a soft quarterback, and we don't hurt his feelings. We do not want to hurt his feelings. That's a fact.
Hey, TD, can you hear me?
Hate him early.
Yeah, I can hear you. Doug, why don't you get in the spaces then? Since you say the Tua hate is crazy, move goalposts. Why don't you why don't we hear from some people who disagree too? Let's hear from some people that feel like, hey man, y'all just hating on Tua, all this and that. Why don't y'all request to come in and speak? Any of y'all feel that way that's speaking?
I just want to make a point too. Whenever if I get a chance.
Go ahead.
So my thing is this: we saw when the Buccaneers had Brady, he had Godwin, Evans, Gronk, and Antonio Brown that first year, and he was able to spread the ball to everybody. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, well, they're running this defense, they're doing this and that, and they taking Tyreek away." How? If I was going to game plan against the Bengals right now, I would be like, I'm going to take Chase away, and you're going to have to beat me with somebody else. And every week, week in and week out, they can't stop Chase. Well, if I'm game planning for the Vikings, I'm taking Jefferson away, and Sam Darnold's going to have to beat me with someone else. And what's he do? Week in and week out, just Jefferson still going to get his yards. How are we not able to spread the ball effectively, and why are we being limited to just Jonnu?
You know what's funny?
We see quarterbacks get it done.
You know what's funny about that? It reminds me of Brady's years in New England, when for several years we were like, oh, Edelman and Welker and all of them, they ain't nobodies. And then these men ended their careers as some of the greats because of what Brady was able to do to spread the ball around.
He elevated players. That's the difference.
Can I ask one more thing? Do we all think Jono can do the same productive he did last year? This year,
this is his first. That was his first year, really being like a main.
But can he be consistent with it again?
Yeah, it can be consistent if you're not force feeding Tyreek the ball. But here's the problem: why can't we just run an offense where we ain't got to force feed nobody? It's just in the flow. See, what people don't realize is we don't have a flowing offense. We already know where we want to go with the ball. As soon as we snap it, if that linebacker goes shallow, we hit the seam. If the linebacker stays, we hit the flat. Like, we have options. Like, people think that this is actually reads. Now, it's reads, but it's basic reads. Like, people don't get that about, like, football. There's levels to how you can read a defense too. McDaniel has created a system that most of the time, 80% of the time, cuts off half of the field anyway. And then it gives Tua an opportunity to look at two guys, hike the ball, look right at these two. Whatever the linebacker does tells me which guy to throw to. He's not looking at the receivers. He's like, oh, the linebacker went there. I know to put it in this spot. If the linebacker stays, I know to put it in that spot. If none of it there, wait for my running back to come out the backfield. The other two guys on the other side of the field just standing still watching the other ones like, who's going to get it? Have y'all ever seen that on film? We hike the ball, look at one side of the field, but the other side stop running their route and they looking on the other side like, okay, who got it?
People said I was a hater when I would say that to you.
CP Hollow's trying to come up. I don't know if you can see that.
Hold on, I got him.
TD.
Yeah.
Do you, why do you think Michael Jordan does that? Cut out the field and put a basic elementary offense around to not offense, but a play style around to.
Because it's easy for him. It helps him look like a competent quarterback. And I get it. What people don't understand is I'm not knocking it, is because if it works, it works. But against the great teams, they know how to stop that. Now, what the great teams are doing is forcing him to go outside of his box of comfort, and that's where we get beat.
You know what the great teams are forcing Tua to do now? They're forcing Tua to beat them.
Yes.
Because they know if I take away Tyreek Hill that deep and I take away Waddle, Tua is like a duck. He's like a deer in headlights. Waddle's actually open now. He gets scared and he's gonna do some dumb stuff like he did in the Buffalo game. 3 interceptions? Come on, man.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I feel like the main thing about Tua is I'm tired of people in the media and the fan base treating him as if he's some sort of anomaly. We've seen quarterbacks like Tua before. The difference is this dude is getting preferential treatment because the front office, they doing their whole thing where they want to prop him up. But we've seen that Tua was basically Jimmy Garoppolo. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Garoppolo went all the way to a Super Bowl, and 5 years later, we're saying, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't it. It was pretty much the system carrying him. He's not special, but unfortunately, he has a machine behind him that consistently, like when people say, okay, well, Tua had the number one offense, or Tua did this, we can name a whole bunch of other quarterbacks who did the same thing. The difference is they played for front offices where the moment they didn't look really good, they got rid of them. Mm-hmm. This front office is hell-bent on proving the media wrong and saying, we're going to try to make Tua look like an elite guy, and he's just not it. If this front office was reasonable, he would have been gone a long time ago. So I'm tired of when people try to act like, well, Tua's still here. That must mean he's great. No, he had unlike the other quarterbacks who, like the Derek Carrs, that's who Tua is. He just has a machine behind him that props him up to be elite.
100%, Jason. And I'm going to say this real quick. I'm going to say this. When it was just Tua and Waddle, I know y'all remember those years, 2020, 2021. What was the media saying? Oh, Tua just needs help. We get McDaniel. We get a bunch of other people from San Francisco. We surround Tua with help, right? Okay, that first year they look good. They even look good 2023. Teams start to figure that out. Now what? Every year it's an excuse. Oh, he doesn't have an O-line. We get him an O-line. When are the excuses for him going to stop? And we're just going to say, Tua needs to be in Canada with his brother. When are we going to say that?
When he gets a defense like what the Giants had when Eli went, or like what Boy had with the Ravens, that 0-1 team, when we give them that type of defense, that's when they'll finally let it go. It's like they want us to give him everything.
Then they'll say we didn't have an elite O-line.
Yeah, there'll always be an excuse.
They'll always have an excuse. Right. Their fandom is to Tua. Their fandom is not to the Miami Dolphins. That's the difference. They're always going to find an excuse to, the weather wasn't good that day. We have people arguing about weather. This is the NFL.
Right. But I'll say this, Dolphins, that the year that Eli beat the undefeated Patriots, that team was 9-7-1. Nobody in the world thought they should have even sniffed the Super Bowl. And Eli goes out and beats Tom Brady twice. So what are we talking about? Tua's not even that. He's not.
It's that hope factor that TD is always talking about.
Yeah, but and the thing is, Eli performed in those games. And here's the deal. Tua in the big games is always going to be the issue. Did you know in the must-win games since 2020, and when I say must-win, think about the game that either eliminated us from playoff contention or the playoffs. Buffalo, week 17, his rookie year, right? He blew the game at the end. We had a chance. Remember Tennessee Titans, week 17?
Oh, my God.
When we scored 3 points? Do you remember Buffalo again in week 18 3 years ago when we scored 14? Do we remember Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs scoring 7? What about Houston Texans in week 15 when we scored 12? The people don't realize in those must-win games, we averaged 12.4 points a game.
Hey, TD. I think the thing is with Tua is that as long as he's not staying on the field, the Dolphins are never going to be able to be consistent or trying to win big games. You mentioned games that he has failed. And the only reason why we're still sticking with Tua, and by the way, I'm a Tua guy. Because I feel he'll lead the team the best opportunity to win. But the front office hasn't moved on from Tua because Mr. Chris Greer doesn't know who is the next quarterback to come in the picture.
Okay, so can I say this, Ace? When we had Brian Flores, he knew who the next guy was. Because remember, 2018, Ross wanted Lamar. Greer said no. Then he wanted Brian Flores wanted Herbert. Greer said no. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave that there.
Yeah, but that goes back. That goes back to the Joe Philbin time as well. Because Joe Philbin wanted another quarterback. He didn't want Ryan Tannehill when we drafted him.
The thing is, Greer is just like Tua. He's a middle of the pack GM. He's a GM that's going to give you a team that's good enough to win 8, 9, 10 games, but he's not good enough to build you a playoff dominating roster. So Stephen Ross is stuck in the middle. He's like, well, Chris Greer builds a pretty solid team, but, if I fire him, people are going to say, well, who's going to be the next GM? Chris Greer has, given you your first playoff appearance in several years. He's just like Tua. He's just a middle-of-the-pack GM. He's not an elite GM guy that could build a team.
The crazy part about Greer is he once was aggressive, but when it backfired after the Deshaun and after the Tom Brady and the slap on the hand for the tampering, they threw Flores under the bus and said, oh, it was him that actually wanted to go get these guys. And then they just stayed. After that, they just went behind Tua, and it's like, we'll never try again. We'll never threaten you again, Tua. It's like, that's the energy. After that, those 2 times of being aggressive, it's like, no more.
I don't think that was Greer, though, because the way Greer was acting during those days, he was acting like, hey, my hands are tied. I'm just doing what Stephen Ross is telling me to do.
Greer and Brian Flores met Deshaun together.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Greer, the way Greer was acting was like, hey, I'm just doing what Stephen Ross is telling me. Ross wants Deshaun Watson, so I'm going to listen to my boss. He's not acting like one of those GMs where he's like, yeah, you're out of here. I want Deshaun Watson. You see what I mean?
Yeah, we just all the details surrounding back then. It's so many mixed stories on it, but I got to address this because I'm tired of getting this in my inbox. People mad at me, okay? Let me address something real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a difference between spot throwing and anticipating a spot. I'm so tired of, like, every time I try to explain this to people, they say you sound dumb. Okay. Let me break this down for those people who don't understand where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to get across. If you're a quarterback under center and you're doing a 3-step hitch, well, just say 1, 2, 3, ball out, right? And you practicing this in practice, hey, the guy's going to run a slant, 1, 2, 3, ball out. 1, 2, 3, ball is out, right? And you're putting the ball in a specific spot over and over and over and over, okay? And you put it in that spot, 1, 2, 3, ball out, receiver should be there at that time, right? You're spot throwing if the ball ends up in that spot and something else happened that doesn't allow the receiver to get there. That's how you identify spot throwing. So if you hike the ball, 1, 2, 3, ball is out, no receiver in sight. and you go look what happened to the receiver. Oh, at the beginning of the play, he fell on the ground. That's spot throwing. You did not read the field to see where your receiver was to determine what spot to put the ball in. You're just putting it in a spot where he should be. Not where he should be based off of what you see, just based off of the reps and repetition of practice. This is the spot to throw the ball. That's spot throwing. Anticipation is when you hike the ball, notices he falls on the ground, and you wait an extra second to either throw it or you throw it a little further to the right because he ain't going to make it to the spot. That's anticipation.
Yeah, Tua does both of those.
Tua don't do both of those. He don't do the second one.
TD, you know how I know what proves your spot throwing point? I think it's one of the main reasons our offense is predicated on speed, because anticipation, you can pretty much do that in any offense, right? We see Joe Burrow do it with the type of receivers he has, all different sorts of guys. Mahomes went from having a speedy wide receiver core to pretty much guys that are possession receivers. We've seen those quarterbacks be able to adapt. Tua needs the speed to spot throw because he needs his receivers to always get there quicker than the defense.
Yeah.
And then you also see the window dressing pre-snap. Right? When we have all this pre-snap motion and, making defenses get terrified because, man, where's Tyreek Hill going? Okay, the defenses are so worried about the speed of our offense that Tua can throw to different types of spots. And the defense is so scared of our speed, they forget, I have to be at this spot. Or I don't want to take that gamble because if I go stand there and he throws it somewhere else, Tyreek is fast enough to turn this 10-yard pass into a 50-yard touchdown.
But here's the deal. Here's proof. I forgot what the receiver name was. He was on our team. He even said it. I think he played for Buffalo or something the year after us. He said, it's totally different. In Miami, you got to get to that spot. You got to be in that spot. He literally said that in an interview.
I to interrupt you, TD, but that's Trent Sheffield.
Yes, the man literally said, man, it's totally different than in Miami. Because here, you just flow in the offense and, you got a guy who can just make the play. But in Miami, you got to be in that spot. You got to get there. You got to get to that spot. Why do we?
Collective. Omar told you that. You remember he said, "Oh boy, wasn't even supposed to be in the game on that one interception." And he ran, and he didn't get to the spot, and that's the reason why it failed or something like. You remember when he slipped?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But people still debating this. Let me give y'all some quotes, right? Let me give y'all some quotes. Let me see here. Here's a defender, Bullock, right? He was talking to ESPN about the pick he got on Tua. That was the plan the whole week. Let me hover over the middle and just let me go play ball. On my pick, we knew Tua would look away. But once he threw the ball, he really doesn't look where he's throwing it at. So he wouldn't see me the whole time. This is whether you agree with it or not, this is what defenses believe. This is what they're game planning. Tua don't read defense. We know what to do. Let me give you what another player said. Hold on. Have y'all heard what the player at Alabama said?
What's his name?
Not at Alabama, but the Clemson, I believe.
No, go ahead.
Let me see. Here's another one. Cornerback AJ Terrell, right? Stepping in AJ Terrell. Really, we knew that he wasn't reading the defenses that well in the secondary. Former Clemson defensive lineman Burt Higgins said. So we were disguising the defense pretty well, and then we would move into a different defense. He just couldn't read the defense. This is what they said
that on Clemson or the Texans?
No, this is the former Clemson. They're just saying the former Clemson.
That far back?
You know what I
Yes, this is what I'm saying. This is now hold on. Let me just make one last point. This goes all the way back to college. This is why my pre-draft analysis of Tua was all of these things I saw pre-draft. And here's what people need to realize, right? Tua versus winning teams, he's 2-10. But you know where we got hoodwinked? Did we ever think about his career in Alabama? We just thought it was all beautiful and roses, right?
No, not all of it. You know why, TD? The two Alabama fans did.
He was throwing to Jerry Jeudy, Jalen
Ruggs.
Playing with studs everywhere.
Ruggs and Devontae Smith. He had the greatest receiving crew in college history.
Yeah, but watch this, y'all. Watch this. Even with the best O-line, best receivers, best running backs, right? Watch this. Let me give y'all something. Tua in college, let me give y'all something. The first category is versus top 30 defenses. The second category is everyone else. Versus everyone else that's not a top 30 defense, he was 37-0 in college. Top 30 defenses, he was 6-6. QBR versus everybody else, 97. Do you want to know in college, in those top 30 defenses? 43 QBR. Completion percentage against everybody else in college, 75%. You want to know what it was against the top 30 defense? 58% completion percentage.
Hey, TD.
Hold on, one last stat. Everybody else, the bad teams in college, 13.1 yards per attempt. Against top 30 defenses, 7.5 yards per attempt. This wasn't just no NFL thing. It was back in college. He never showed up against the competition.
I was going to say, there's been games we watch with you where you're streaming, where we blatantly concede. This defense is stopping Tua, but they have a scrub quarterback. So when they get back on offense, they can't capitalize off of what their defense were doing to stop Tua.
Exactly.
Like the Jets is a great example. Their defense knew how to stop Tua, but they didn't have a quarterback that could put points on the board.
Exactly. I agree.
Because I have a family member that was actually on that team. And that first year when Tua came into the national championship game, people forget that whole year was Jalen Hurts' year. That's one thing. He started every game that year. Tua just came in for that second half. Okay, cool. Y'all got the championship. The next year, Tua was the starter. But towards the big games, a lot of those big games, he got took out, and Jalen Hurts would have to come in and save the game because he was playing bad. Okay, Jalen Hurts goes to Oklahoma. Tua still got to go. I think the first time he lost to Trevor Lawrence, and then the next year he lost to Joe Burrow. And then it's time to go to didn't win again. Never won again.
Didn't win again,
right?
Yep.
Now watch this. Year after, everyone talk bad about how bad Mac Jones is. That's cool. Waddle gets hurt. All he got is Devontae Smith. Devontae wins the Heisman, which hasn't been done by receivers since I think late 90s. And they end up having shootouts all year long and win national championship. Matt Jones, who's not even that good, was way less because he didn't have Josh Jacobs, he didn't have Najee Harris, he didn't have Ruggs, he didn't have Jerry Jeudy. All he had was Devontae most of the season because Waddle got hurt against A&M or something, and then the national championship, Waddle came back limping, but he only had Devontae and Najee Harris and won a national championship. Tua had all the weapons and was losing to Burrow, losing to Lawrence.
In that 1 year, he broke a few of Tua's passing records too.
Yeah.
So,
and this is Matt Jones.
Like I said, it really is the two Alabama fans in this fan base. They just have, they won't allow anybody to say anything bad because they deified him when he was at Alabama. You ask a lot of Alabama fans who's the best quarterback in school history. A lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are going to say Tua. And they're now Dolphin fans. Those same people are now Dolphin fans.
And they're not even really Dolphin fans. They just literally.
So, TD, when you sit here and you're like, man, I'm breaking down these facts. It's in black and white. Why aren't you guys understand? It's because you're talking to an Alabama fan, and they're like, hey, listen, I was a Tua fan in 2018. I'm only a Dolphin fan because he's on the team. So I don't care what proof you show me. I'm not going to sit here and take your side because I'm an Alabama fan from the get-go.
And listen, man, we got a long way to go. I mean, this team, and I'm gonna be honest, all this talk we be doing is all good, but until we beat Buffalo, it ain't even gonna matter.
So I need to ask this question. Everybody knows if Patrick Mahomes wasn't on the Chiefs, everybody knows.
You're covering your mic, brother.
Oh, my bad. So I said everybody knows Patrick Mahomes couldn't start on any team, any of the 32 teams in the NFL. What teams could Tua start on? Like really good teams. What could he start on? Which ones?
Most of the NFC, I think.
Nah.
Because it's a weaker division. I think he could start on most of the NFC, like the Saints.
He's not starting NFC East except for the Giants. That's the only team.
Exactly.
Giants.
But remember what I said though. Patrick Mahomes can go to any team and he would start on any team. Out of 32 teams, he started on all 32 of them. What team? What can we say about Tua? How many teams could he start on?
3.
Exactly.
The Browns,
the Giants, the Browns.
Yeah, most
You'll
of the
see after Shador.
A few of the lower NFC teams, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And the Saints.
Exactly.
No. Here's the problem. Here's the problem that I think y'all not considering in that question. It's what teams will replace their situation right now for him. The Giants ain't replacing their rookie quarterback for Tua.
Yeah, Dart.
Regardless if they think they believe in Dart. They're not going to replace him for Tua. They'll replace him from Mahomes, but they're not going to replace him for Tua.
100%.
They tanking. They wait for Archie.
Exactly.
Like there's only about 3 teams in the league that will replace their current situation with Tua.
Exactly. So, and this goes back to what the other guy was saying about, I think it was Jason. He was saying, the Alabama fans are Tua fans. I'm gonna be honest. When he had that hip surgery in 2018, that should have been it. Mind you, 2 years later, he went top 5 in the draft or something like that. I think it was like number 5 or something. He was a high draft pick. And we seen what he did in college. TD just gave us facts. So he's never been elite. He's never been that guy. He's always been middle of the pack. You surround him with weapons, they're going to make him look good.
What's even worse is he's not even the quarterback on our roster. They got the most wins versus the Bills.
Exactly.
The previous conversation you guys were having earlier when you guys were saying, the guy was arguing about Joe Burrow. That's kind of the point that I was trying to bring up as well, because Joe Burrow led the league in passing and had a triple crown as his wide receiver.
100%.
Tua tried to force Tyree to have 2,000 yards, and it was a train wreck. Joe Burrow was producing those type of numbers just, like it was nothing.
Bro, Joe Burrow was producing those numbers in college. In 2009, that 2019 LSU team, man, come on. That team was damn near unbeatable.
He was balling.
Yeah, them niggas was damn near unbeatable in 2019 when he played with Jamar, Justin.
Well, Jamar didn't play that last year. You remember because he sat out.
No, yeah, COVID.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
Shout out to Dev. Dev said, all I'm saying, guys, is let this season play out. Hey, Dev, we keep doing that every year. And we're told that every year.
Yeah. This is about to be the 6th year we let the season play out. What's different?
We're told that every single year. I mean, well, if this year's a train wreck, we got to do the same next year. Just let it play out. Yeah, I mean, we ain't got no choice but to let it play out. But, man, I mean, it's insanity. We just doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result. And nothing's really changing. As a matter of fact, things are getting worse.
Exactly. Like, man, look, man.
The way I feel, Sleepy Hollow, sorry to interrupt you real quick, but I think all of these conversations, and TD, you giving a great effort, man, but until the people in Miami media start to be vocal and say, all right, we don't think this guy is it, you're not going to see any, the front office isn't going to feel pressure to change anything, and the fan base is just going to believe these guys for what they say. They're always going to look at you as if you're some sort of, anomaly. And they're like, oh, man, that TD guy doesn't know what he's talking about. All of the other 10, 15 Miami media members, they say Tua is the greatest of all time. So that's who we're going to believe.
Yeah. Do y'all want to know what the only thing I was talking about in 2023? The only, well, no, I don't know when he got it, but the biggest thing, like the biggest talking point to Tua for me was when he got his Samoan sleeve. That's the only thing I can talk about. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. When this man got out, that's it. Other than that, you can't really say anything about, anything positive about Tua. He got his tattoos. That's it. Cool.
After seeing what Warren Sharp posted and how some of these people are approaching this situation, I hope all y'all understand what I'm saying. No matter how it ends, they're going to say we didn't give him enough. And to me, that really hurts. Mm-hmm. That hurts so bad to know that they go, the defense wasn't good enough. We should have gave him this. Or we didn't give him. You know what they're saying now? Oh, A-Shan is good. Because y'all saw that Doug post. A-Shan is good, but y'all should be giving him a power back. He needs a big, strong power back to make people put him in a box.
Now it's McDaniel is a poor play caller, and he's the reason Tua is carrying McDaniel. McDaniel didn't help Tua, because you're starting to see media members say when Tua doesn't play, the Dolphins look terrible, but when Tua does play, they look like a competent team. And like I said, I don't feel bad for Mike McDaniel that stigma is being put on him. Because, brother, this is the result or the consequence of hitching your wagon and trying to, I say purposely, build the team to where people always say, yeah, it's only good because of Tua. You try to make it seem as if he's the only reason why you're good, and you're kind of getting backlash for it because when he does eventually get injured, people say, well, you're a poor play caller. We'll never see what McDaniel's play calling truly looks like, because I don't think he goes after quarterbacks who he think can challenge Tua.
Yeah.
Like, let me just get a mid-tier dude and just so I can maybe win some games and the team struggles, but I don't want to, hurt Tua's feelings. Brother, that's hurting your career.
Exactly. And you just hit the nail on the head, Jason. McDaniel is too focused on being everybody's friend instead of being a coach.
Well, he's trying to change that now, but I don't think people buying into that.
Yeah, nobody cares now because what happened in 2023? You were trying to be everybody's friend. Do you know in 2023 when Bradley Chubb got injured, we were getting spanked by the Ravens. It was over. They put Melvin Gordon in the game, and our starters were still out there. That's why Bradley Chubb got hurt.
Yep, because he was mad. He had got a penalty like the play before he got hurt.
Yeah, he had got a penalty. You could see it. Because I was watching the live stream. He got mad, cost us. All the fans were like, what's wrong with him? Like, why is he just acting out like this? And then the next play, injury. We're like, you see, there goes that karma. Like, what were you doing?
It's the same injury with Jalen Phillips as well. The game-winning mattered.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips. So the first time around, he tore his Achilles at MetLife. You really can't do anything. The turf sucks. But the second time how he got hurt? Because a fucking Costco general manager like Jordan Poyer dove straight at his knees and partially tore his ACL. That's how he got hurt the second time. Like you McDaniel, I don't know, man. I think
this rookie coaching mistake. His first time head coach. You gotta learn,
bro. But it's like these things start at the front office, man. Who saw Jordan Poyer and was like, oh, he can lead this defense to a championship? Are you kidding me?
He sold us so bad that Buffalo game. Like, forget the 60-yard kick. He sold us with that pass interference.
That's Chris Greer.
I'm still angry about that. I'm still angry about that pass interference.
It is Chris
Greer. Or that
hit,
whatever it was.
Yeah, it was.
That's why I laugh whenever they say the culture is shifted. No, it's not. Chris Greer still in the building.
Ain't nothing. Y'all know what's gonna happen if Jalen Phillips gets hurt again. They're probably going to give him a fat contract. Hey, you'll get him next year, buddy. Make another excuse for him.
Oh, no, they'll give him the Christian Wilkins treatment. No, when it's players like that, they'll get rid of him. Trust me. When it's players like that, they'll get rid of him.
Look at Odell.
Yeah, it'll take a while.
Odell didn't even want to be there. Odell ain't even want to be there.
Odell got a surgery, and as soon as he signed, they're like, okay, sign that line.
Yeah.
Do surgery on y'all.
Let me say that. Let me say
He got
this.
a pushover as a GM.
Let me say this, okay?
And a head coach too.
Let me say this, and shout out to Doug on the YouTube side. Bro, you got to give it up, okay? This is, y'all Tuaneers, this is what y'all do, right? This is exactly what y'all will do. When the Dolphins need something to be at least 8 out of 10, you'll literally praise Tua's 5 out of 10 just because the backup may have been 1 out of 10. This is what y'all do. You say, well, with Tua in the game, we're this and we're that. It still ain't good enough. He's the best we've had since Marino. What they got to do with anything? It ain't Marino.
Right.
Now, are you going to tell me he's as good as Marino? Then we talking. But don't give me he the best we've had since Marino. Marino was 10 out of 10. And all these bums we've had are 5 out of 5. Don't think I'm supposed to get excited because Tua's a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, he's the biggest fish in a small pond. It's
like yeah, exactly. Like, why don't y'all understand that? Well, he give him credit. He led the league in certain stats. Do you know that there are over 5,000 quarterback stats you can find one way or another? I could find quarterback stats that Zach Wilson probably led the league in last year.
My thing is, TD, we see NFL teams that with quarterbacks that take them to the Super Bowl move on from them. I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks. Hey, Russell Wilson, your time is done. Brother, we got to move on.
Took them long enough.
The Eagles, your time is done. We got to move on. Yep. There's so many teams where their front office just say, "Hey, listen, we're team first. There's nothing bigger than the logo."
Brady. They moved on from Brady.
Exactly. But sometimes it feels like they make the decisions as if we're the Miami Tagovailoas, not the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
And it's like, when are you guys going to start making choices for the Dolphins to win? And then you'll have Tua fans that say, "Well, keeping Tua is the best decision." No, it's not. No, it's not. No. Just because the front office hasn't done any moves doesn't automatically mean Tua is the greatest. Like whenever you say, "Hey, let's trade Tua," well, who else are we gonna get? There's no other NFL quarterback that'll ever be good as Tua. Like, that's the level of delusion they bring into our fan base, and it's like, that's not true.
They'll listen.
Teams move on.
They'll never stop. They'll never stop. Look at Doug Williams still. Name them in major stats, yards, ratings, percentage. Doug, do you know, like here's for example, right? Stop talking about yards, okay? I don't care what Tua's stats are. Guess what? As great as his stats are, being number 1, 2, and all of that, he'll never have statistical stats to keep up with the greats. I mean, even his injuries alone will prevent him from that. Herbert got 21,000 passing yards in his career. Do you know Tua just got 15?
15 what?
Herbert got 21,000 passing yards in 5 years. Tua got 15. Like, stop talking to me. Stop talking to me about, he led the league in yards or some craziness, man.
He's averaging 13 games a season.
Exactly.
We saw a 37-year-old Ben Roethlisberger lead the league in yards, and it amounts to nothing. The Steelers missed the playoffs that year.
Let me ask y'all a question to I guess solidify my point. When Brady went to the Buccaneers, how many of y'all thought, "Oh, this team's going to the Super Bowl because they got Brady"? Or did y'all think, "Oh, he's past his prime"?
I knew they were going to the Super Bowl.
I knew they was going because it's Brady and he's mad at Belichick.
Yeah, I knew they were going.
Okay.
Well, you got to look at Tampa Bay.
But was he the best quarterback in the league at that time?
No, especially not the first 8 games or whatever before the bye week. They looked bad before that bye week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I thought he was going to butt heads with Bruce Arians. I'm not going to lie.
They did.
And I'm gonna give y'all another stat. Do y'all know when they made that Super Bowl run, up until I think it was like every playoff game, they never lost any playoff games? They didn't lose none of them. They had to win because somebody was saying it. I think the wild card. They said, "Oh, you got to win this game. Wins the wild card game. You got to win this game." Brady won every single game he had to win that Super Bowl. Every game.
And he had to beat Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau.
Yeah, and they just got blown out like 2 weeks before by the fucking Saints or something like that.
Yeah, let me say this because I know this week everybody was talking about the Warren Sharp thread, right?
Oh my gosh.
Like that whole thread, almost the whole thread can be debunked. Like for instance, did you know part of the reason his offensive line has been terrible is because the team doesn't prioritize it? Did you know the O-line is the 6th cheapest by dollar investment into it in the last 3 years? Has this man ever went to go look at those Super Bowl Patriots winning teams and how they were literally the least spent O-lines in the NFL? And every time time to get their deal, Bill Belichick already had the replacement on the roster and moved on and took the chance.
TD, can I ask you a question?
Because Brady know how to call his protections. Brady know how to help his O-line. Brady knows how to manipulate pass rush to make sure that he's good. Like nobody wants to talk about that skill that Brady even talks about to this day in interviews that these quarterbacks now, they just don't have that. Brady literally said majority of all the quarterbacks in the league now can't even call their own protections. They don't even know how to. They don't know where the pressure's coming from and where I was disguised. But we just automatically, he said the game is dumbed down for these games now. But we don't even know that. We don't even think about that. We just automatically, O-line got to be better. Man, these O-lines went no better for Brady.
Or Mahomes. You remember how the Buccaneers did Mahomes in the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Going upside down.
Yeah. People think that Tom Brady and Peyton and all of them and Drew Brees was at the line, Omaha and checking and all that just to sound pretty. They were making sure their protections and everything was proper for the play. That's why you don't get none of that now.
Hey, TD, you're going to be mad because Cam Ward is doing that with the Titans right now.
Wow. And the only thing you get now is a tap of the helmet. Oh, they loading the box. We're going to pass. Oh, they loading the box. We're going to. We but we get these guys excuses. Oh, the O-line. Man, we're not going to talk about how Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl with two tackles. Both of them had the worst win rate in the NFL.
Fuck that. Patrick Mahomes brought a team of people, of receivers who couldn't catch a cold in the winter.
From Dorchester.
Brought them to the Super Bowl.
From Dorchester.
And Brady did the same thing. But you see, the funny thing about people like Warren Sharp, I bet you, because I don't know if this dude is getting paid by Chris Greer or Tua, but every so often he has a thread where he's just like, oh, I have to defend Tua. But I bet you if you go look at his tweets, he has a few tweets saying, yeah, we should pay Tua. Make Tua the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And yet they don't understand the politics of, well, if you pay Tua and all of his weapons, how are you going to pay O-linemen?
Right, exactly.
Because there's a cap in the NFL. And that's the logic that a lot of these people, it's like sometimes they purposely choose to omit that fact. Like, yeah, pay Tua, pay Tyreek, pay Waddle. Okay, we paid all these guys. They're the highest paid trio in the NFL. How are we going to pay the O-linemen? Well, we don't really need to pay a expensive O-lineman. Okay, but if we don't get an elite guy, 6 months from now, you're going to say, we don't have an elite O-line, we're failing Tua. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Jason, I'm going to tell you this, bro. The year, Tom Brady's last year, they not only did they host the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes and them thought they was going to come into Tampa, win the Super Bowl. Tom Brady and the Bucs dog walked them. Y'all know what Andy Reid went and did the very next season? He went and got some O-linemen.
Yeah, buddy from the Ravens.
Very next season.
Brown.
But you know what else Andy Reid did that was kind of in reverse of what he normally would do? He started saying, I'm going to let my quarterback carry, and I'm going to focus on the defense. Because the Chiefs, the first runs, the Chiefs had terrible defenses those first runs. When Mahomes used to be 50 touchdowns and all that. Defense was trash. All of a sudden, he said, you know what? Let's just work on this defense, and I'm going to let Mahomes figure it out. No different than what Belichick used to do with Brady. I'm going to focus on my defense, let Brady figure it out. Make Edelman or whoever you got go out there, but that's how you get
Brady's best receiver was Randy Moss, making one-handed catches, no-look catches. That was his best receiver. He won championships with Julian Edelman.
My thing is the flip-flopping.
And Tua can't even get us one playoff win, and he has all these weapons. It's time to go, man. It's time to go.
During the offseason, when we don't get all of the elite weapons, Tua fans beat their chest. Say, "Oh yeah, he's an elite quarterback. He's gonna dominate with these guys." And then when the game comes and he has to actually play, and he gets punched in the mouth, then it's, well, how could you expect him to? Of course, no quarterback in the NFL could ever win in that situation. And it's like, no, you guys, you can't be front runners. He's not that guy.
He's not.
You stop being front runners. Stop in the off season. You're saying, oh, yeah, Tua's going to do this, and then when he's put in a situation to do it and he gets humbled, then it's, well, of course Tua couldn't do it. How could you expect a guy like Tua? And it's like, well, which is it? Is he just an average Joe that needs to be carried? Or is he this elite quarterback that's competing with Patrick Mahomes?
Let me sound like a Tua in there. Oh, he did do it. You remember the Green Bay game? He bought this Green Bay game, and it was cold. It was cold in Green Bay. He threw
3 touchdown passes against the Patriots.
Against the Patriots, come on, man. And
you see what he did to the Rams?
Yeah.
One thing I'll say, man, Chris Greer and them, Chris Greer has to go, because if you can look at Cater Kohu and say, "Yep, I want him to be a starter," you have no business being in the NFL. He's terrible.
If Greer wasn't fired because of the Herbert thing, he should have been fired the moment Vic Fangio got his Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
The moment Vic Fangio got his Super Bowl ring, you should have fired, because you had players' parents. Oh, this guy's washed up. Nobody wants to play in that old-fashioned defense. You let people say that about your DC. People were saying that Fangio was washed up. He's a scrub. Nobody wants to play for him. What happened? The Eagles players came out. Man, this dude is elite. Man, this is one of the best defenses we've ever played for. Man, he all the way to the Super Bowl. The guy had look at what he did to Patrick Mahomes. Absolutely humbled the guy.
Well, that's what we got to live with. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. I was supposed to cook with y'all for an hour. We made it about an hour, 40 minutes. I'm about to get out of here because I got some stuff I got to take care of early in the morning. But I appreciate everybody who came through, everybody who rocked with us tonight. We got to do this more often, man. Just a late night audio stream on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Spaces. Shout out to everybody watching: Dev, Daz, David, Jason, Game Boy, Sleepy Hollow, Gold, Ms. Relentless. Salute to you, all y'all. I see all y'all fans, Dolphins, man of the, I can't see the rest. Shout out to everybody on YouTube right now. We got 244 watching over there. Thank y'all for tuning in. But good night. Y'all take care. We out of here for the night. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Fins up no matter what, though. No matter what. It's always fins up. See y'all soon. Peace. I'm out.